G'day y'all, number one Machop fan here with another episode of Machop's Musings. Just yesterday I competed in a Premier Challenge in Werribee in Melbourne's southwest. I performed pretty well, 4 wins, 2 losses, and finished 9th. Unfortunately, the top cut was 8. Hello darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk to you again. Okay, now I've scared off all those idiots who can't handle bad singing. The rest of you who deserve respect will get to listen to the rest of this. This is actually the 6th time I've done this since Australia started doing Swiss round Pokemon tournaments in 2012. It's happened in 2 grassroots tournaments, both in 2012. It happened at Sydney Regionals 2015, the Melbourne MidSeason Showdown last year, and now it's happened at 2 Premier Challenges in the VGC 17 format. That's something that we tend to call bubbling, where you have enough wins to make top cut, typically X2, but you miss out because of poor resistance, like finishing 9th or 10th when the top cut is 8. And I have finished 10th a couple of times before. Last year Melbourne Regionals famously, and a 2015 Premier Challenge, again at Werribee. And resistance is something that's typically out of the control of the player, because it's determined by the performance of the people you battle, and the people they battle. More so the people you battle, and you can't really control that. It's much harder, actually, to control in a positive way, but that really depends, I guess. So yeah, I've basically been there 8 times since 2012. And that number is rising fast as of late. Last year, I did attend the World Championships in San Francisco, and I saw how they handled it. We all remember that everyone who finished X2 or better qualified from day 1 to day 2. Actually, how that worked was, since it was 8 rounds, once you got 6 wins, you stop, and you go to day 2. So if you got 6 wins before 2 losses, that was it, you didn't battle again. But on day 2, again, X2s made it to the top cut. However, that resulted in 24 players who went X2 or better. And since 24 is not a power of 2, that runs the risk of getting things like buys or worse round robins later if you did single elimination from that point onwards. The way they managed that was they took those who were outside the top 16, that was the top cut, so that was 17th to 24th, that's 8 players, and then the worst 8 from the top 16, and they had them get together in one more round, another best of 3. The winners of those, the 8 winners out of those, would then advance to the top 16, and since 16 is a factor of 2, you could easily do finals from there. Do a top 16, a top 8, a top 4, a top 2, and then you'd have an easy winner. And I really liked how they did that. That's very, very fair way of doing it, and I would love to see that replicated in smaller tournaments like the internationals, the regionals, and if possible, the mid-season showdowns and premier challenges. Alas, it does mean 1 entire extra round, so you would need like 50 minutes of extra time in order to do so. And with local tournaments like Premier Challenges and Mid-Season Showdowns, that is tricky because some venues finish later. Like registration finishes between 10 AM on a good day or as late as midday, which is what happened yesterday and the Premier Challenge before that in Melbourne CBD. As a result, even without this suggestion, they ended up finishing about 7 o'clock, 7:30, and since I live on the other side of suburban Melbourne, it took me 2.5 hours to get home from Werribee after that, because that late the trains run less frequently, but that's another story. So, this could kind of be solved if the venues started earlier, but that may clash with their typical opening hours because The Werribee venue, I think, doors open normally at 10 o'clock anyway. Happy to be corrected in the comments. And that's when registration started. Sorry, no. That was 11 o'clock, actually, when they opened, registration started, and then finished at midday. If possible, they should try and aim for earlier registration finishes, even if it means registration finishes at 10 o'clock or even 9:30. And I understand not everyone is going to appreciate that. I, for one, am definitely not a morning person, but then again, some bigger tournaments start quite early anyway, and it takes me an hour just to get from my outer suburb to the city, let alone the other side of Port Phillip Bay. But if you're truly dedicated, you'll do it anyway. And I still think it's at least worth trialing at these smaller tournaments if you don't have a factor of 2. But let me think. So the top cut was 8. If memory serves, there were 5 people. Ended up being a top 13, which is kind of tricky since it's an odd number. Let me see. So 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th could have done it in that round, as well as 8th, 7th, 6th, 5th, and 4th. So that would have been 10. If they had the extra round, 5 would have won. They would have advanced and stuck with the top 3. Yeah, at 13 it would have been doable. But yeah, that's my little bit of feedback for smaller tournaments. If you've got the time, you could give that extra round a try and make it fairer on the rest of the X2 players who end up facing, I don't know, more polite way to put this, opponents who didn't do as well. Anyway, that's it for this episode of Machop's Musings. Feel free to provide your feedback in the comments section below. 1 thumbs up equals 1 prayer for the king of bubbling. And I'll see you next time.